On day 31 of the war with Hamas, the IDF is making dramatic progress, effectively severing the Hamas stronghold in the north from the rest of Gaza in the south. This as the army captures a major Hamas stronghold and establishes positions on the beach. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Day 31 of the war with Gaza, the IDF announced it had completed its ground forces encirclement of Gaza City, effectively slicing the terrorist enclave into two. Amid some 450 airstrikes in Gaza in the past 24 hours, troops have now reached the Gaza coast and a major Hamas stronghold was captured. According to the IDF, the compound contained observation posts, training grounds, and underground tunnels. Several Hamas operatives were killed as troops captured the site. The IDF said it was carrying out widespread strikes on terror infrastructure below ground and above. The IDF spokesman said today there is North Gaza and South Gaza. The Golani Brigade also reached the coastline and are holding it. The area of the enclave's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, saw particularly heavy strikes. The tunnels under the hospital host the Hamas terror group's main base of operations. The hospital also hosts a rocket launching pad.
Hamas systematically exploits hospitals as part of its war machine. They launch rockets on Israel 75 meters from an hospital. Why? They know precisely that if Israel will airstrike a launch pad like that, the hospital would be damaged.
The army opened a humanitarian corridor to allow Gazan civilians to flee south. Most, but not all, civilians have fled northern Gaza. As the battle to end Hamas rule continues, Israel is trying its best to avoid civilian casualties, but Hamas has been actively trying to force civilians to remain as human shields against Israeli attack.
Well, the IDF has released new information showing the extent to which Hamas uses the Palestinian people as human shields for their terrorist activity, including by using playgrounds and hospitals. ILTV's Devo Klein has the latest.
Yesterday, the IDF unveiled new evidence of how Hamas is using civilian areas for terrorist purposes and deceiving the international community about the lack of resources they do have. In a video of the Sheikh Hamad Hospital in Gaza, the new footage shows Hamas terrorists using the site to fire at IDF soldiers on the ground. However, Sheikh Hamad Hospital is not the only one being used by Hamas. The IDF previously released evidence of a Hamas command and control center in the Al-Shifa hospital, as well as photo and video evidence from the Indonesian hospital in Gaza, showing Hamas terror tunnels and rocket launch points that endanger civilians. In Gaza, even children's playgrounds aren't safe from Hamas exploitation. The IDF also revealed rocket launchers inside of a children's swimming pool, as well as launch pits and rocket launchers at the site of a playground. While Hamas has been claiming that Gaza is facing a fuel shortage and they have only 24 hours left of fuel, the IDF has also revealed that Hamas has hundreds of thousands of liters of fuel, which they are using for themselves instead of their people. Multiple calls with IDF officials as well as intercepted calls have confirmed that Hamas is taking the fuel designated for Gaza residents and facilities, including hospitals.
لازم انا بحكي انه اجوا لي في الاندونيسي قال عم بيبعثوا بتعرف طلعوا الاعلام قال بعد 12 ساعه بوقفوا نزلوا الموقود والساعات وهيك.
Despite the alleged fuel shortage, over the weekend, Hamas also held a public screening of a video depicting attacks on Israel displayed on a giant screen near Al-Shifa Hospital before large crowds of cheering Gazans. The screening took place despite the fact that Gaza civilians in the vicinity were instructed to flee to the south for their own safety. The IDF has pointed out that such events not only show the terror group's dishonesty, but cynical exploitation of the civilians in Gaza.
In a further warning to Hezbollah and Iran, the U.S. has dispatched a nuclear submarine to the Middle East. The arrival of the Ohio-class sub comes amid a spike in deadly cross-border exchanges on the Lebanese border and continuing uncertainty over whether Hezbollah and Iran opened a second front in the war. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
The U.S. Central Command said an Ohio-class submarine has been deployed to the Middle East. It's nuclear-powered and carries nuclear warheads. The sub is reportedly in the Suez Canal in Egypt. its arrival in the region part of Washington's strategy after October 7th that began with arms shipments from the U.S., followed by the deployment of 2 carrier strike groups to deter Iran and its Hezbollah proxy from attacking Israel. Meanwhile, there's been a spike in the deadly crossfire border exchanges with Hezbollah on the Lebanese border. An Israeli civilian was killed near Kibbutz Yiftach on the northern border when he was hit by an anti-tank guided missile fired by the Lebanese terrorists. The largely evacuated city of Kiryat Shmona was targeted by several salvos from Hezbollah rocket fire. Rocket fire destroyed a home and a car and other property, but caused no injuries. The IDF responded by striking the source of the missile fire and attacking terrorist positions in South Lebanon. The IDF has pounded Hezbollah for the past 3 weeks in the deadly crossfire exchanges. 56 Hezbollah terrorists have been killed in Israeli reprisals. For now, Israel remains in a defensive posture, but that could change.
לגבי לבנון, אנחנו תוקפים על בסיס מידע מודיעיני, ואנחנו נמשיך לתקוף. זה המשימה שלנו, כל מי שמאיים עלינו, אנחנו נתקוף אותו.
Visiting the northern border, IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi said the military was ready at any moment to go on the offensive in the north.
Here's a moment to invite all of you who haven't subscribed yet to join our app. We have many new viewers these days, and if you want to stay updated about everything going on in the region, join the app, ILTV News, available on all platforms. Well, in response to the Israel-Gaza war, the anti-Israel movement has been out in full force, leading to a rapid spike in anti-Semitism around the world. Protests have seen explicit calls to violence and even violence against Jews. But not everyone is against Israel. Let's take a look at what happened in London this week.
On Sunday, hundreds gathered in London outside the British Parliament for a protest of solidarity with Israel and a public call to return the more than 240 hostages being held by the terror group Hamas in Gaza. The rally, organized by the Jewish community, also had a significant presence from the Iranian community, which has been outspoken against the Iranian regime and its proxy Hamas throughout Israel's war with Gaza. Large crowds of Israeli and Iranian lion and sun flags were visible in the crowd, and speeches included Israeli writer Chen Mazig, as well as Iranian human rights activist Lily Mu.
And if we do not stand together and call this out, we will be the next victims. So down with the Islamic Republic with Iran, down with Hamas, and down with Hezbollah, and women, life, freedom!
The rally was not the first time the Iranian community has showed up in solidarity. Since the war began, they have participated in and even organized rallies in Canada, the UK, US, Belgium, France, and elsewhere. Just days before the rally on Sunday at the anti-Israel protest in London, a member of the Iranian community even filmed himself bravely joining the crowd with a sign that stated, "Hamas equals terrorists." His sign was attacked by Hamas supporters in the protest. At a time when anti-Semitism is skyrocketing and Jews around the world are in fear, the Iranian community continues to show up in support.
Here's a moment to invite all of you who haven't yet subscribed yet to join our app. We have many new viewers these days, and if you want to stay updated about everything going on in our region, join our app, ILTV News, available on all platforms.
Well, here with us to discuss more about the rally and why Iranians are so passionate about supporting Israel during this time is human rights activist Lily Mu. Lily, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we've seen a clip of your fantastic speech from the rally, something that from the reactions I see made a lot of Israelis really excited to hear. What motivated you to participate, to speak at this rally in London?
Thank you, Emily, for having me here, and hello to all of your viewers. Shalom to Israel. I want to say that the sense of solidarity I felt just made sure that I take action. It made me step out of the house and pick up, because I am a human rights activist after all, and I'm a women's rights activist. What atrocities I witnessed on 7th of October, which is a beautiful day for me. It's a very special day to me that day. It's the birthday of my late brother. I mentioned it in my speech in the rally as well. I was heartbroken and devastated. I felt the trauma that I felt when I saw the death of Gina Mahsa Amini at the hands of the Iranian morality police. Their attack against women and children by Hamas really, really, really hurt me and triggered me. But more than that, what I found more painful was the reaction of the people in the West, the celebration of those attacks. The celebration of those attacks against anybody is appalling, is inhumane, and it shows me a double standards regarding a lot of the people who I used to go in the same rallies with. I was working with Extinction Rebellion independently. I was working every time there was a severe attack on civilians in Gaza. I used to go out after I left university and when I was exposed to different informations regarding why pro-Palestine movements are happening. So I thought it was a humanitarian movement. But then when I was exposed to such anti-Semitic and inhumane behavior and the celebration of this terror, I thought there is no way, there is absolutely no way I'm going to stay quiet, and I have to speak up, especially when I saw the people of Iran, the civilians of Iran, so bravely are showing their support for Israel and the people of Israel against the wishes of the Islamic Republic, they had a celebratory parade with fireworks in Iran on the nights of the attacks. They broadcasted the attacks and cheered. And that is not the Iranian society. That is the Hezbollah and that is the pro-Hamas propaganda people inside of Iran who are a very small minority and they are pro-regime. And when there is one...
Lily, you spoke in your speech, we played a clip where you spoke about how the Islamic Republic has a lot of similarities between Hamas and the regime itself, the Islamic Republic regime. What are those similarities?
Yes, I want to clarify. They're not similar. They are the same. That's very important for people to know. Hamas is the child of the Islamic Republic. Ever since the creation of the Islamic Republic in 1979, when the Palestinian groups and jihadist Palestinians, I don't mean the civilians of Palestine, the innocent people of Palestine who are dying under the hostage hold of Hamas and any other previous militia government that they've had. Hamas is a child of the Islamic Republic. They're completely funded and trained and resourced for all of their activities. They are taught about martyrism. They brainwash children from, when I went to school under the Islamic Republic in Iran, when I was a child, barely 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, they start drilling into the mind of the children that it's good to become a martyr because in this life, our only duty and existence is to spread Islam and kill anyone who is a kafir, basically an infidel. They are a mishmash of contradiction and hate. They don't like women. They don't like children. They are willing to kill anybody to further their own cause. And their excuse is that a martyr will go to heaven. An infidel must be killed. They should be punished for not being a Muslim already. And when they go to heaven, when they're killed, where do they become killed regardless of the infidel being killed by a Hamasi and Hezbollah or any other jihadist?
It's very similar.
Anyway,
it's very similar
they want to just burn their instantly, very ISIS-like.
Mm-hmm. It's very similar to the scenes that we see Palestinian children in Gaza grow up with. Unfortunate reality. It looks like we are out of time. Lily, I want to thank you so much for speaking with us and giving us an opportunity to hear your perspective, and also for standing with the people of Israel in this difficult time. We appreciate so much your activism and your commitment to justice, and we have the same feeling towards the people of Iran. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. We are in this together. All the best.
22-year-old Gaia Calderon received a harrowing message from her 16-year-old sister, what was later identified as one of the last signs of life from the entire family. They were all kidnapped from kibbutz Nir Oz on the horrifying Hamas terror attack on October 7th. Gaia's family, including her father, Ofer, her 16-year-old sister, Sahar, and her 12-year-old younger brother, Erez, were taken hostage. Their grandmother, Carmela Dan, who suffered from dementia, and 13-year-old niece, Noya, dealing with autism, were murdered on the spot. Erez celebrated his birthday over the weekend, and Hadass, his mother, informed the Free Our Kids Association that Erez shares a deep passion for cycling, just like his father, Ofer, who happens to be a professional cyclist. In response, they reached out to the Cyclists Union in Israel, who eagerly accepted the challenge. As a gesture of tribute to Erez on his birthday, approximately 30 Olympic team riders from various parts of the country gathered to ride together. Bring them home. The security situation inside central and southern Israel remains tense, with rocket salvos still being fired at Israel from Gaza, and in Jerusalem, a terrorist shooting attack. More from ILTV's William Chavon.
The lone terrorist attacked and wounded 2 police officers with a gun and a knife while they were posted outside Herdol's gate entrance to the old city of Jerusalem. Moments later, the gunman was killed by officers responding to the attack. One of the officers is in critical condition at Hadassah Hospital on Mount Scopes. Overnight, rockets flying directly over Tel Aviv were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system, just 2 hours after the barrage of rockets flew over the city. Much of the coastal plain was required to shelter, but no injuries or serious damages were reported. Meanwhile, the IDF announced the death of Staff Sergeant Shachar Cohen Miftach, 22, who was killed in combat in northern Gaza. He is the 34th IDF soldier killed in the ground operation in the Gaza Strip.
The ongoing war has impacted nearly every sector of society and every industry, including Israel's high-tech industry. That's why the Israel Innovation Authority has unveiled a new program to assist tech companies facing challenges as a result of the war. The program, supported by the R&D Fund of the Israel Innovation Authority, targets tech companies in the process of raising capital and in need of bridge funding. You can see more about the program and how to support Israeli high-tech at the QR code on the screen right now. Here to speak with us about the war's impact on Israeli high-tech is Dror Bean from the Israel Innovation Authority. Dror, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Could you break down for us what the impact of the war has been on Israel's high-tech scene?
Well, the murderous events that we all witnessed on October 7th, I think got us into a state of shock in the first days. But immediately after that, the country entered into a state of war. Many people were called for army duty. And obviously this affected also the tech sector in the country. Companies now have to operate while something like 10 or 15% of the people are in active army duty. And also other challenges like companies who cannot enter their offices, their labs, and of course all of us now focus on maintaining business continuity despite the war conditions.
What is the Israeli government doing in order to assist the high-tech industry through this challenging time?
Well, the Israeli Innovation Authority has been investing throughout the last 5 decades in promoting the Israeli tech hub, investing in disruptive innovation, in early-stage startups and growth companies that are literally changing the world. Obviously, in this state of war, we have an even important role to make sure that all the companies that are facing the challenges created by the war will find solutions. One of the immediate things we have done is to announce a $100 million fund. We call it the Fast Track Fund, that basically is giving bridge financing to early stage companies that were in the middle of a financing round, and because of the war were unable to fulfill this round. We are now willing to invest $100 million into these companies to make sure that they have enough runway to go through the war and then come back to the regular way of raising funds. This $100 million fund also requires matching from private investors, and it's going to be operative during the coming 3 months, November, December, and January. And basically, there are going to be hundreds of early-stage companies with promising offering, with disruptive technology that are going to be looking for private investors. I think this is a great opportunity for investors here in Israel and investors globally to invest in great and promising companies.
Now, Israel is known as the startup nation, but how resilient is the tech sector here locally?
I myself was in the high-tech sector as a CEO for the last 25 years before I became the CEO of the Israeli Innovation Authority. I can tell you one thing, Israeli high-tech is very resilient. We've gone through many up cycles and down cycles because of global economic crises, because of Corona, because of local crises. And one thing that always happened, that the Israeli high-tech got stronger out of those down cycles than before. Israeli entrepreneurs, Israeli CEOs are very creative, very resilient. They go for the global markets. They understand how they need to mitigate risks when such events happen. And this will be also the case this time. I talked during the last few weeks with probably many tens of CEOs and entrepreneurs. All of them understand that business continuity and continue to deliver to their customers is their number one priority. They are all focused on making sure that R&D plans remain as planned, that promised deliveries to customers will be fulfilled, and I'm very certain that the Israeli high-tech companies will know how to navigate through these challenging times.
Finally, what do you see as the future for Israel's tech scene, and what is your message to the international community?
Well, I start with the international community. One of the things that were really heartwarming was the fact that the global tech leaders and the multinationals and all the stakeholders in this community actually stood up and supported Israel. First of all, morally. I think that for all of us it's very clear. It's a war of good against evil. And no human should agree to the atrocities that were conducted here a few weeks ago. And the fact that the leaders, companies and individuals in the tech sector stood up and by the side of the State of Israel is very important for us. We appreciate it, and I want to thank all of these leaders that took a stand. For example, I can mention the letter that something like 800 different venture funds signed in the support of Israel, and also the declaration that they intend to continue to invest in the Israeli high-tech. So first of all, thank you. Beyond that, I'm calling for continued support, continued moral support, as well as continue to invest in Israel. The fundamentals are still here. Great entrepreneurs, great technology, great products and services that are being developed in the ecosystem that will change the world, will bring economical value and will bring benefits to the entire humanity. So keep on investing in Israel, keep on buying products and services from Israeli tech companies. This is the best way to support us and help us get to the victory that we should get on behalf of all of us.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dror. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies are expected tonight throughout the country, with cool temperatures set to reach lows of 16 degrees Celsius or 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies and steady top temperatures expected, featuring highs of 29 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and don't forget to check out our new and improved website, iltv.tv, with all the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.